Welcome to Spookypasta, the place where nightmares come to life. I'm a cop on the Navajo reservation. I investigated a killer who steals his victim's skin. By Page Turner 627, Part 5. The urgency is a fire in my veins as we scramble up from the chilling tableau by the river's edge. We leave the woman's body as we found her, a silent sentinel to the mysteries we have yet to unravel. The carved stone now a weight in my pocket. The dust from our hurried departure hangs in the air, a cloud that mirrors the turmoil in my heart. Our vehicle careens over the rough terrain, the sirens wailing a dire lament as we race towards the site of the distress call. Ben's hands are steady on the wheel, while my grip on the door is anything but. Upon our arrival at the open rangeland, the sight that greets us is apocalyptic, a hellish vista that chills the soul. The pasture, once a tranquil grazing ground for sheep, is now a grotesque tableau of destruction and death. The bleating of the dying sheep forms a haunting chorus to the crackling flames consuming what remains of the FBI vehicles and helicopters, their structures twisted and blackened by fire. The moon, a silent witness in the sky, casts its pallid light over the carnage, illuminating the scene in a ghastly glow. The bodies of agents and animals alike are scattered across the field, some mutilated beyond recognition, a testament to the ferocity of the attackers. The air is thick with the stench of burning metal and flesh, a miasma that assaults the senses and threatens to overwhelm us. My stomach churns at the sight, the reality of the situation hitting with brute force. This isn't just a battle lost, it's a massacre. The ground is slick with blood and fuel, a treacherous mixture that reflects the fire's dance. In the midst of the chaos, the remnants of a desperate defense are evident. Spent shell casings litter the ground, and the bodies of some agents lie behind makeshift barricades, their final moments spent in a futile attempt to hold back the onslaught. God damn it, Ben mutters under his breath, a rare break in his composure that echoes my own thoughts. We fucking warned them. We move quickly, spreading out into a formation born of practice drills and grim necessity. Our lights pierce the darkness, searching for any sign of life amid the devastation. The acrid smoke bites at our throats, but we press on, each step revealing more of the nightmare. The stillness of the massacre is suffocating, a heavy silence punctuated only by the crackle of dying flames and the distant, mournful cries of wounded animals. The chaos has a sense of finality to it, but my instincts scream that it's a deceptive calm, a predator's pause. I signal to Ben and the rest of the team, my hand gesture sharp, conveying a silent warning to remain vigilant. We advance, our formation tight, sweeping through the carnage with tactical precision. The beam of my flashlight falls on a figure slumped against a twisted piece of metal. It's Agent Randall, his suit a tapestry of ash and blood, his eyes wide open in a silent scream. I crouch beside him, my hand hesitantly reaching for a pulse I know I won't find. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream slices through the heavy silence, high and desperate, a sound that chills the blood. We pivot in unison, adrenaline surging, as we track the source of the horror. The beam of my flashlight trembles as we approach a clearing, the ground torn up as if clawed by some monstrous creature. There, in the eerie play of shadow and firelight, we see it, a grotesque figure, its form shifting and undulating as if not confined by the laws of nature. A skinwalker, its eyes are a hellish glow, reflecting a malevolence that is almost palpable. The creature is dragging a figure behind it, and my heart plummets as I recognize the torn FBI jacket. It's Izzy. She's alive, but barely. her body leaving a smeared trail of blood behind her. The skinwalker's grip is inhuman, its fingers elongated and tipped with talons that seem to be crafted from the darkness itself. Izzy's struggles are weak, her cries filled with agony and terror that echo in the hollow of my bones. The skinwalker turns, sensing our presence, its face a grotesque snarl. It bares its teeth, and a hiss escapes from its throat, a sound that speaks of an evil as old as time. The moon casts a ghostly pallor over the scene, rendering every detail with nightmarish clarity, the creature's fetid breath visible in the cold air, Izzy's pain-racked face, the blood-stained earth. Its grip on Izzy is unyielding, its claws sinking into her flesh as she struggles, leaving trails of crimson across her skin. With a surge of courage that I can't fully explain, I step forward, my voice commanding despite the tremor I can feel taking hold. "Put her down," I yell at the monstrous figure. My weapon is drawn, but I know that bullets might not suffice against such a creature. The skinwalker pauses, and for a moment, time seems to slow. Izzy's voice, reduced to a ragged whisper by pain and fear, cuts through the tension. "Please," she coughs, blood flecking her lips. "Help me." The skinwalker's gaze upon us is paralyzing, a weight of dread that holds us captive in its intensity. It seems to consider us, its head tilting with a curious malevolence, as if we are nothing more than curiosities intruding upon its domain. The air grows colder, the heat of the flames doing nothing to ward off the unnatural chill that emanates from the creature. With a swift and horrifying grace that belies its grotesque form, the entity hoists Izzy's limp form over its shoulder. Her cries are muffled against its gnarled hide. In one fluid, nightmarish motion, the creature bounds away, its movements a blur of shadows and malice. The ground seems to recoil with each touch of its feet, leaving behind a trail of corrupted earth. The night itself recoils from the skinwalker's path, as if darkness has found something to fear. "We have to go after them," I shout to the team, my voice raw with urgency. We give chase in our armored vehicle, following the trail of destruction left by the skinwalker. The chase is a blur, a fevered sprint where every second stretches into an eternity. Our team, spurred by a mix of fear and adrenaline, gives pursuit over the treacherous terrain. The chase leads us to the base of a towering mesa. It's like a jagged scar against the starlit sky. The skinwalker scales the steep rock face with impossible speed and agility, its form occasionally silhouetted against the moon, a haunting specter of ancient nightmares. There is a primordial aura about the mesa, as if the very earth recognizes the presence of the creature it bears. Our vehicle skids to a halt, throwing up a cloud of dust and gravel. We know there's no way to follow in the vehicle. The climb must be made on foot. Each of us is grim-faced as we prepare to ascend, checking our gear with hands that betray no tremor, our hearts pounding in our chests like war drums. The ascent is treacherous, a vertical odyssey that tests the limits of our bodies and spirits. Our boots scrape against the unyielding rock, searching for purchase on the narrow ledges and outcroppings. Loose stones skitter down the cliff face, a reminder of the ever-present danger of a misstep. Our fingers grip the cool stone, pulling us upwards, muscles burning with the exertion. The night air is eerily silent as we climb, the usual sounds of the wilderness absent, as if the natural world is holding its breath. The only sounds are our labored breathing and the occasional clink of equipment. The skinwalker's passage has disturbed the mesa, leaving behind a trail of displaced stones and a palpable sense of malice that clings to the rocks like a residue. When we reach the top, the creature is standing there, waiting for us at the threshold of the darkness, a silhouette of nightmare against the lesser black of the night. It holds Izzy aloft, her body limp, as if showcasing its prize. Our breaths come in ragged gasps, our weapons raised but hands trembling, knowing that any misstep could be fatal. The skinwalker's eyes, gleaming with a feral and intelligent light, fix upon us. There's a moment where the world seems to hold its breath. The only sound is that of my heartbeat thundering in my ear. Then, with a sound that chills the blood, a guttural chuckle, it drops Izzy to the ground. She falls to the earth with a sickening thud, her body rolling limply in the dust. The creature's head tilts to one side, observing us, and in that instant, we understand, it's not just evading, it's playing with us. Izzy's still form lies crumpled in the dust, a sight that wrenches the heart and freezes the blood. But then, against all conceivable odds, she stirs. Her movements are jerky at first, like a marionette pulled by unseen strings, then smooth out as she rises to her feet. The injuries that should have been crippling seem to have no hold on her. The moonlight casts an eerie pallor over her face, her blue eyes unnaturally bright as she turns to face us. With a voice that carries the weight of the desert's age, she speaks, and her words are like shards of ice. You've come so far, only to find yourselves deeper in the snare. Her lips curl into a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. I take a step back, my hand tightening around my weapon. Her words don't make sense. They're disjointed, an unsettling jigsaw that doesn't fit. I scan the surroundings, a knot tightening in my stomach. The stark realization hits me. We've been herded here, manipulated to this precise location. The terrain is unfamiliar, rougher, with jagged rocks and narrow passages that weren't on our maps. That's when the realization dawns on me, a cold, sinking feeling that we've been lured into a trap. The creature didn't flee to the darkness. It led us here, to this spot, under the gaze of a moon that seems to be a silent accomplice. The air is alive with a tension that feels almost electric, the crackling flames from the distant massacre now a faint echo. A heaviness settles over us, as if the very atmosphere has thickened with foreboding. I use my flashlight to scan the treacherous landscape, and that's when I see it, the glint of eyes, not just one pair, but many, encircling us in a silent vigil. The realization hits with the force of a physical blow. We're completely surrounded. Ben's voice cuts through the oppressive silence, low and urgent. Defensive positions. Now. His command is met with immediate action. We move as one, our backs toward each other, forming a tight circle. Weapons are trained outward, toward the unseen assailants whose eyes glimmer with predatory anticipation. The moon above is shrouded by a swift procession of clouds, as if the very heavens are closing their eyes to the savagery that's about to unfold. The charge comes like a whisper of death, silent but for the rush of wind that precedes the onslaught. The skinwalkers, their forms a grotesque parody of the human shape, erupt from the shadows, their limbs contorted in unnatural angles as they descend upon us. The first of the skinwalkers surge forward, a blur of malice and twisted limbs. Bullets fly, punctuating the night with flashes of defiance as we struggle to hold the line against the encroaching nightmare. I feel the impact of my rounds finding their mark, the guttural screams of the fallen creatures a grim chorus to the cacophony of battle. Yet, for every beast that falls, another takes its place, their numbers seemingly unending, a dark wave intent on crashing over us. In that moment, the horror is complete, the realization that we are not the hunters here. We are prey, overwhelmed by a darkness that has no name. Their howls are a chorus of war cries, chillingly human yet utterly alien. They collide into our circle with the force of a storm, claws and teeth bared, eyes burning with a hatred that is ancient and deep. The air is filled with the sound of gunfire, growls, and the sickening wet sound of rending flesh. The world narrows to the primal simplicity of survival: kill or be killed. The fight becomes a dance of desperation, a melee where claws and teeth meet fists and rifle butts. We swing our weapons with a ferocity born of pure instinct, the metallic scent of blood thick in the air. The creatures are everywhere, their hisses and snarls a symphony of dread that fills the night. I feel the searing pain of claws raking across my arm, the wet warmth of blood that follows. There's no time for pain, no space for fear. I turn to my attacker and pull the trigger at the creature lunging towards me, but there's only the hollow click of an empty magazine, a sound more terrifying in that moment than the cacophony of chaos around us. With no time to reload, I grip the rifle by the barrel and swing with all the force my adrenaline-soaked muscles can muster. The butt of the rifle connects with a sickening crunch against the skull of the skinwalker, an impact that echoes through my bones. The creature staggers, its grotesque features contorted in a grimace of pain and fury. The enraged skinwalker barrels into me, its strength monstrous, its eyes burning with an intelligence that is all the more terrifying for its apparent madness. We crash to the ground, my head striking stone, stars bursting in my vision. I fight back with a raw, animalistic energy, but the creature's weight is crushing, its ferocity undiminished. The creature atop of me snarls, its breath a fetid gale. I feel its talons tear through my defenses, drawing closer to my throat. I catch a glimpse of my fellow officer, Dan So, going down next to me, his throat torn open by teeth that gleam in the moonlight. The night is filled with the sounds of combat, a chorus of terror that chills the soul. That'll my fate too if I don't act fast. As the skinwalker's talons inch toward my throat, its foul breath hot upon my face, a desperate clarity pierces my panic. My hand, slick with my own blood, gropes for the sidearm holstered at my waist. I manage to wrap my fingers around the grip, the familiar cold metal a lifeline in this bloodbath. With a primal scream that tears at my vocal cords, I shove the barrel against the creature's underbelly and pull the trigger. The gunshot is deafening, a thunderous declaration of defiance. The creature's howl of pain is almost human, a twisted mirror of my own agony. It recoils, its grip loosening just enough for me to wriggle free. The recoil from the shot throws me off balance, the world tilting as the skinwalker stumbles backward. I scramble to my feet, my vision swimming with dark spots as I fight to stay conscious, the blood from my wounds a steady drumbeat of warning. The air is thick with the coppery tang of blood and the acrid scent of gunpowder. My teammates are shadows in the smoke, their gunfire staccato beats in the night's symphony of chaos. My body is a map of pain, every movement is agonizing. But there's no time to assess the damage. Survival is all that matters now. Through the haze, I catch sight of Izzy, or the thing that wears her face, moving with an eerie grace through the pandemonium. There's a wrongness in her steps, a discordance that sets every nerve on edge. She's close now, too close. Her eyes meet mine. They're not the warm blue I remember, but a cold, empty void. I level my weapon, the barrel wavering as I try to focus through the pain and vertigo. I move towards her, each step a battle against the dizziness that clouds my senses. The night seems to press in around us, a shroud woven from darkness and fear. Izzy, I call out, the name a plea, a hope against hope. As I approach, the moonlight casting strange shadows across her features. She smiles, It's a grotesque mimicry of the person I knew. "Lost little lambs," she whispers, her voice a knife's edge of mockery and madness.
"So brave, so foolish."
I raise my weapon, my hand steadier than I would have thought possible. She laughs at my feeble efforts, a sound that twists in the air, contorting into a cacophony of otherworldly whispers. She steps closer, and I brace myself, ready to defend against whatever comes. But it's not a physical attack that strikes me down. With a suddenness that leaves me breathless, a wave of energy emanates from her, a pulse of raw, supernatural force that hits like a physical blow. My knees buckle, the world spins, and I'm falling, the ground rushing up to meet me. As darkness creeps into the edges of my vision, the last thing I see is Izzy, or the creature wearing her skin, standing over me, her face an enigma of shadows and light. The taste of blood is thick in my mouth, and a strange numbness spreads through my limbs. And then there's nothing but the darkness, an abyss that swallows me whole. The sounds of battle fade into silence as I lose consciousness.